During this lesson, we will talk about briefing and debriefing, with a special focus on debriefing. You're likely familiar with briefings, whether this happens at the start of a field campaign or on the morning of a long day in the field. Briefings are designed to inform the whole team about the goals of the day, assign roles, and discuss relevant logistics. It's valuable to prepare your briefing content well, so that the briefing feels organized and you don't miss anything. A clear, methodical briefing can set an important tone of clarity for the day. Conversely, a scattered one can create confusion. The importance of briefing well cannot be overemphasized. It helps people know what to expect and what is expected of them. Now, debriefing is something that is easily forgotten at the end of a long day, but it's a powerful tool. It creates space for group communication and feedback away from the immediate decisions and activities of the day. It can be related to all parts of science and camp life. Debriefs can also directly inform the next briefing by focusing group priorities in real time. In that way, reacting quickly to feedback can create trust among the group. Debriefing helps maintain a positive and inclusive group culture within the field team, and in this way, it's an important risk management tool. Because debriefing is less widely used, we will focus the rest of this lesson exclusively on this topic. Debriefing sessions create a space for communication within the group and provide intentional time for reflection where all voices can be heard. In a daily debrief, we can celebrate our successes, open a conversation to bring up issues, check on energy levels or the workloads of team members. But we can also address incidents or patterns of behavior among the team that created discomfort or exclusionary and unsafe environments. Or maybe we can identify ways in which we can work more efficiently and improve the well-being and safety of the team. Really, anything can be brought up in a debrief. Debriefing regularly helps set the expectation that checking in with each other and giving and receiving feedback is a welcome and valued process that we want as part of our group culture. By providing such a space, you show team members that they'll be heard and that they can be vulnerable in talking about their concerns. This can also help develop trust, which can lead to a better functioning team. Debriefing also enables a group learning process in real time because issues can be raised close to when they happen, allowing for intervention or a course change that can positively affect the group. Correcting behaviors early can help prevent the team spirit from deteriorating and can make sure the whole team remains on the same page. This is especially important for fieldwork, where the dismissal of a team member can have really negative impacts for the whole campaign. If you have a code of conduct, something that we think is super valuable and we'll talk about in depth in the next module, the debriefs can revisit the code of conduct if necessary and also discuss and make adjustments. Let's take a moment to hear from some of our voices on the importance of debriefing.
Briefing and debriefing are really essential pieces of any kind of team activity in the field. And there are so many examples that I can think of how this really helped to enable any kind of process. And importantly, I'll note that the briefing and debriefing part is super essential for safety. The briefing part ahead of time is, let's have a conversation about how to do this. And often the leader or the decider for a given activity doesn't necessarily have all the best ideas, right? And this is where it's important to get other people's ideas so that we can arrive at a plan that incorporates these other ideas and that others can feel invested in, right? People know what's coming ahead of time. So we've certainly had many cases where people brought new ideas to the table to say, oh, actually, how about if we, approached it in this certain way, and that would actually help to keep people safer during this process. And so that briefing is absolutely essential, as is the debriefing part. At the end of any kind of activity, talking about how it went, talking about perspectives, talking about how people felt through that process really helps to refine that for the next time. And there always is a next time. There's the work tomorrow, or there's the next time we have to install that instrument or whatever it may be. So that debriefing process helps us to constantly refine the way in which we incorporate different perspectives and ultimately, achieve our goals in a safe and productive way.
As far as When to brief and debrief. In most cases, I would say I prefer to have at least one structured group meeting every day. If it's a long expedition and there's some really long days, yeah, maybe sometimes you don't meet, but even if it's just like 10 minutes, I think having that structured group meeting where we can see each other's faces and hear each other's voices is a great daily practice. Yeah, for me, the typical structure would be a morning meeting and an evening meeting. And the morning meeting is essentially the briefing for the day. Could be super quick. I'll give the information, or maybe someone else will give the information, and then there will be time for any questions and clarifications. And then the evening debrief, in the most basic sense is, what did we learn from today? But of course, there's more and more nuance we can add. Sometimes in a morning briefing, I'll ask the question like, how's everyone doing? And do you have any announcements or any concerns that you'd like to share? Or even more specifically, I might say something like, hey, this is a new environment for a lot of us. How's everyone doing with basic stuff like sleeping, eating, going to the bathroom, and just creating that space so that, someone might not want to announce it to the group. They might prefer to come to me individually, and that's fine. But if someone has been having an upset stomach, it can be really nice to give an opportunity for them to share that.
Now, let's talk a little bit about how and when to debrief. It's a good idea to set some parameters so that all team members know what to expect during a debriefing session. There are several factors to consider. Debriefs are most effective when they are planned and regular, so that everyone knows what to expect. Ideally, they become a regular part of fieldwork. Debriefs often happen right at the end of the workday, but they don't have to. Sometimes it can be useful to first ensure that everyone is fed, warm, and dry, like after dinner, so that their focus really lies on the debrief. Someone on the team, this does not need to be the principal investigator or expedition leader, should be in charge of guiding the group through the debrief. This facilitator helps keep the discussion on track and maintains respectful communication if ever things get heated. You can also consider rotating the role of facilitator among team members, ideally offering some guidance to people with less experience. It's important for the facilitator to think about how to engage the group in a meaningful way and also be aware of group members' varying levels of comfort when it comes to speaking up. If a team member is more introverted, it can be really valuable to check in with them one-on-one before a debrief. Daily debriefs are best if kept efficient. Give time and space to honor any issues that need floor time, but don't debrief exhaustively if there's not much to discuss. Set a time limit. If something bigger comes up, check in on people's willingness to keep talking, their need to step away, or continue at some other time. Finally, it's really helpful to also set aside time for a final debrief at the end of an expedition or field campaign to look at the big picture of what worked and what didn't work. Such a final debrief provides a time for people to share what they may not have wanted to share while still in the field. And this is also helpful for learning how to improve future field expeditions. Think about some of the field work you have done or are planning. What are 3 considerations or challenges in scheduling a debrief for this work? Debriefing styles depend on the facilitator and the group. We'll present a few example formats, so if you're not sure where to start, this should help you out. Debriefing structures can range from informal and organic to very specific and structured. In the example that we'll discuss now, we'll start with the most informal and work across the spectrum to end with a highly structured format. An organic debrief can follow a popcorn-style format, which is basically an opportunity for team members to share contributions at random, possibly without any prompts. If you have something to say, speak up. This format requires that the facilitator makes sure that all voices are heard. Otherwise, they run the risk that the loudest people take up a disproportionate amount of space and time. Next, a semi-structured debriefing approach could be a round-robin format, which provides a dedicated space for each person to contribute if they have something to say. In a round-robin style debrief, every team member is asked to share their thoughts. This could just go from one person to the next, or people could pass on the word however they choose, ensuring that everyone gets called on. If a team member doesn't want to contribute anything, they can pass. This debriefing format makes sure that not only the loud voices are heard. You can also mix and match. A hybrid version between the organic and the round robin might be to start with a few questions that are predetermined or structured, and then allow for any other issues to be brought up. If you prefer a very structured agenda for your debrief, then you could try an after-action review, or AAR format. This is a format used in the military and some government organizations. It consists of 4 standard questions that are always asked during the debrief. What was planned? What actually happened? Why did it happen? What can we do next time? This format tends to lend itself to more technical aspects of the day or an incident response rather than interpersonal aspects, although it can be used for both. One pitfall here is these questions might feel a little bit mechanical and impersonal to some team members. However, it might allow those people who are not comfortable putting themselves out there feel more inclined to participate. In this way, you may enable greater participation. One advantage of having standardized questions is that it can lower the bar for making debriefs something regular. For example, a clear, open-ended standard that has been widely used in the Avalanche community is, did we make good decisions today, or did we just get lucky? For a straightforward day, this leads to an efficient short reflection. For a complex day with many issues, it opens the door to explore those in more detail. You can also make debriefs fun. For instance, by bringing a deck of playing cards. Everyone draws a card. If they draw a heart, it's an invitation to reflect on something felt by the heart during that day. If they draw a spade, they share a challenge that came up during that day. If they draw a diamond, they're invited to identify something that was precious or valuable. And if they draw a club, they might share something that they want to grow in the future. Another useful tool is to provide a suggestion box that the team members can use on their own time to provide feedback or raise potential concerns or issues that they otherwise feel uncomfortable bringing up during a full team debrief. Team members are ideally allowed to provide their feedback anonymously, but should be made aware that anonymity will make it more difficult to follow up individually. In summary, debriefing is a communication tool that can help maintain a positive group culture by providing a regular, scheduled, protected communication space for the whole team. Debriefs are especially valuable in conjunction with the Code of Conduct, which will be discussed in Module 3. If you take a peek in the Advancing Field Safety Toolkit, you'll also find a suite of resources about different possibilities for structuring a debrief, some resources about nonviolent communication, and facilitation tips. That's all for this lesson. Have fun debriefing.